I'm going to talk about something profound that happened for one of my customers. Obviously, I'm not going to divulge their personal information, but this experience came through in a deity confirmation I did for someone this week at time of recording, and it just cemented things in place for me as to how I see deities and how I understand them, and how a relationship with any deity is complex and multifaceted and very personal, depending on who you are as a person and what you need and what stage you're at in life and what you could and couldn't accept. And this experience just, like I say, cemented that and just was really heartfelt. It really was, and I want to share it because it might help you guys understand if you're especially new to deity work, and if you come from any sort of religious background or hold any religious trauma, this might actually help you. So let's get into it. Okay, now if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm Sarah, that divination witch. I hope you stick around because this channel is a witchy community and safe space. I don't tolerate crap. Everyone's different, so share, ask questions. Nothing silly, and we don't judge. So if you want to join, hit subscribe. If you want to support the channel and help me do what I do, all of my links are below. You can get readings from me. I've got a shop and a website. I've also got Patreon. We're teaching a lot of different things on there, and I would be so grateful if you could check it out. This year is the year of the Dark Goddess, so go see what that's about. You won't be disappointed. So when I do a deity confirmation, I explain to my customers, and I've explained it on the channel before, but I confirm whoever is around them at the moment. It doesn't mean that each spirit, each deity that is going to be there will be there for life. It doesn't mean they have been there for life so far either. Deities in the world of polytheism, regardless of your belief, they can come and go. That's the point, that we are not confined to one thing per se. We don't have to be. Obviously there are those who choose to be, and that's your prerogative. But it's very personal, and it's very much a personal relationship with deities. So what works for one might not work for another. It's complex in that way, but just know that when I do these readings, I confirm whoever is around and say what they've got to say. And in a year there could be different people around. Some may have left, some may have stuck around. It's all personal, okay? Now, with that in mind as well, another thing I explain is the concept of deity. What is that? So you're going to find that gods and goddesses are going to step forward from your bog standard, I suppose, pagan traditions. But it's not just that. Sometimes I have had spirits that I guess New Agers would call ascended masters come through. I've had spirits come through that were saints, some that were prominent figures in the spiritual world, stuff to do with Hinduism, Buddhism, all sorts. And I explain this to my customers, okay? But the most important thing is that the faces that come forward tend to do so for a reason, whether that's what you are comfortable with, what you may resonate with, or whether it's a connection, past life, ancestors, that kind of thing. They usually say if it's something like that. With this individual, I don't know them apart from their name, and that's it. I've never spoke with them before. I don't believe I'd read for them before. I can't remember. I don't think I have. This person ordered a deity confirmation, and what came through was so damn profound. So it was clear that this person had religious trauma. I didn't know that. I don't know them, because it could be anyone coming through. They had several deities. I've made a note here that came forward, all right? So out of the deities, The first that came forward was Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene isn't a goddess per se, but she is a deity in this regard, like I've explained. She is a ascended spirit, you know. And when it comes to Mary Magdalene, it's a kettle of fish I'm currently down to try and understand. You know, her gospel is an apocryphic text, meaning it was written out of the Bible. She was demonized by the church, and there's a lot of mystery to Mary Magdalene because she was demonized, because her gospel was written out, made apocryphic. She's linked with Gnosticism because of that as well, and there are theories that she and Yeshua, aka Jesus, worshipped Isis, the goddess, feminine worship, and yeah, it's a whole rabbit hole. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but regardless whether that's true or not, the spirit of Mary Magdalene was there for this person. However, it did seem to link in with that theory, because next came through Isis, then Horus, then Osiris, and then totally different pantheon, but Zeus came through. And there was a reason behind that I want to share. So Isis came through instead of Mother Mary. Horus came through in place of Lucifer / Jesus, potentially. Osiris as Jesus, and Zeus as Yahweh. Now, why is that? They are their own deities from their own pantheons, their own cultures, and we fully respect that. I'm not saying that they are, you know, carbon copies of each other. Isis is certainly not Mary and vice versa. But they are of the same archetype and they share similar qualities. And divinity as a whole will come to us with the face that fits us the most and will help us the most. So this individual had a lot of religious trauma that they needed to get through, essentially, work through, understand better. The, let's say, deities of their religion that they were from don't dislike them by any stretch of the imagination. Because you leave Christianity, it doesn't mean Jesus hates you. So you know what I mean. But I've really strongly felt like they understand the traumas and the need for a different face, a familiar energy, a friendly familiar energy, but a different face, you know, and different approach, which is why they came through like that. So Isis came through instead of Mary, and like I say, Horus, this is when I started to twig, because I remember in the reading Horus saying about how he was known as the morning star, and this is why I put Lucifer and Jesus here, because the morning star is Venus, the planet, planetary energy. There are plenty of deities out there that are known as the morning star. Lucifer is but one of them. But Lucifer in the Abrahamic sense is still known as morning star. And to somebody who holds religious trauma, even though his lessons will be valuable, and you know, I know, and most of you watching know that he isn't like Satan sort of thing, you know, like they paint him to be. But with someone who has that trauma, they would probably be scared. So it was Horus that came through with that energy, that Venus energy, that enlightenment, that light energy. And funnily enough, that's why I put Jesus too, because Jesus is actually known as a morning star. And the more I'm getting to know both energies, I don't work with either of them at the minute, but never say never. Just never say never. But having interacted, and the more I learn on my own personal path, you know what? There's not that far of a difference really in the energy behind both Jesus or Yeshua and Lucifer. However, the approach is very different. Let's say it like that. Because I don't want to offend anyone. But yeah, it is a link between them. Osiris is certainly a link with Jesus because of the fact that he was killed and reborn. and the whole mourning woman, aka Isis, which would be Mary, both Marys to be honest, with regards to Jesus, but in this context, Mother Mary. And for a Christian to hear about other deities having the same story as their Messiah, it's very hard, isn't it? Especially like an ex-Christian with trauma, that must be very, very hard. There are several deities in different pantheons. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Balder from the Norse, Dionysus from Hellenic. There are several others, Mithras, I believe. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But still, there are several deities that have that trope of being killed and reborn. It's a thing. It is not just a Jesus thing. So that's why it was Osiris. And then Zeus. Now, it could have been someone like Ra, who is a sky god. I mean, Horus is technically a sky god, but they fulfill different roles. Ra is very, very much energy similar to Helios, to be honest. And Helios is complex in himself, just like Ra, you know. So when it comes to Zeus, he is very much the same archetype as Yahweh. People, whether you want to listen or not to that, yep, they are. But Zeus is a friendlier face. I know myself, I've worked with Zeus. He was a big part of my practice at one point, and I have much love and respect for him. I take, obviously, all myths, including his, with pinches of salt. They are parables. I know that's more of a Christian word, but I don't know any other word to say right now. But they are lessons to be learned. They are not to be taken literal, that they actually literally happened. So I do take it with a pinch of salt, but I don't excuse all the things he did. Of course not. But Yahweh did bad things too, you know. Except for some reason, in this day and age, Zeus is a more approachable face. Hands up, I admit that too. I don't know if it's because as a whole the stereotype of the Greek pantheon is kind of more fluffy for some freaking reason. I've noticed this within modern neo-pagan circles, and yet they're certainly not. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Anyways, I wanted to share it because they came through for this person in these different forms as these different deities to help this person get over the religious trauma. And I thought that was a beautiful thing, that divinity does that and cares that much, because ultimately, regardless of your religion, belief, faith, whatever deities you do or don't work with, any higher power wants to help us and help us as individuals. We may not think we are that important, but we actually are. Each of us are important. We are special in our own way. And this goes to show that they could have technically came through as, you know, the Christian Abrahamic counterparts, but they didn't. They came through as different faces. They could have came through as different faces still, but clearly this must be ones that are going to be best for this particular person. But this is something I wanted to share to help, again, explain how I see deities. And like I say, well, maybe not in this video, but I don't think I've said it yet, but this is obviously my experience. What works for one may not work for another. That's fine. Not everyone has to see it this way. I don't dismiss when I talk about these things. I don't dismiss that they are their own beings with personalities and everything to reflect that. But they are also intrinsically linked with one another, and it's all one big thing at the end of it all. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. And I think some of it does actually stem from religious trauma as well. And I'm not saying that monotheism supersedes every pagan tradition and whatever, because I'm a pagan myself. But it is the epithets of deities, the masks of deities, or whatever you want to call it like. And this was a beautiful example of that. And that's why I'm sharing it, because it was beautiful. And I just felt such love for this person through this reading. It blew my mind. And I hope that the person's happy with the reading too. I think they were. I think they replied. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I get so busy sometimes. But that did stick in my head. And I really wish them luck. and anyone. I wish you all luck, whether you got a reading from me or not, you know. But I wanted to share this, okay? Because it was beautiful. Yeah. All right. That's that. Hope it helped. Hope the story helped. If you've got questions about deity work, anything at all, put them in the comments. Help each other out. I reply when and where I can. And yeah, go check out the channel for more information. And until next time, stay safe, stay witchy, and hit subscribe. All right, bye.